Welcome back to Andersen Acres. It's a windy day out here as we check on the jalapenos. They are fantastic jalapenos and I'm looking forward to them being fully ripe. They're not yet. If your jalapenos are this color, they're not really ready to be picked. So today we're going to talk a little bit about color in your garden. Most people consider color to be the most important thing when it comes to gardens. And I'm just going to check out our flower bed in progress. We're going to build a border for it, but I'm just going to check it out here because we threw some peas and beans in here yesterday. Remember, these are posted on a delay, so by the time you see this video, it might be August. This isn't August. It's not August. Anyway, so I wanted to talk about color because that's what people think is the most important, at least most people. You may not, but the majority of people, when you say gardens, they think color. So, color is important, and when we think about color, we think about flowers. And that's only natural. Flowers are naturally colorful, right? So when you think about what am I going to plant in my garden to make it look all colorful, you're going to think flowers. But don't discount foliage, berry bushes, and even vegetables for giving color to your garden. And don't forget that the leaves of your plants are often the most visible thing because they're so big. So, for example, the leaves of a sunflower bush, plant, flower. I'm having a day, okay? I've been up for like 16 hours. So I'm tired. So we're just going to deal with it. But if you're wondering why our sunflower head is hanging down like this, it's because it's actually turning into seeds. Okay, these are turning into seeds. And it gets heavy and can't stand up anymore. I'm just going to help it dump some of that water out, though. Ha, 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 ha. There we go. Give it a little bit of relief. We had a lot of rain last night. Like a lot. We don't normally get that much rain. Anyway, so leaves are really, really big and kind of a feature in your garden. So one of the things you can often do is pick your plants based on their leaves, not just their flowers. Because their flowers might bloom temporarily, but their leaves could be there all season. And in some plants, the leaves change color as the seasons go. So really think about what you're going to put in to your garden, not just flowers. Okay, flowers are wonderful and I love them, but there are other things that can give you just as much color in your garden as a flower. Okay, so really think about it. So my pumpkin plants, for example, are giving me quite a lot of color. Okay, they're bright yellow flowers. They're beautiful. I love them. So these are fantastic. And I am going to get some really pretty pumpkins, but not just pumpkins. Look at these flowers. It's a beautiful plant in and of itself. So it's not just about flowers. You can get color in your garden using other things. And we really should. So raspberries or strawberries, for example, which is what's going to end up going over here where I'm going to go walk and check on the potato plants, but this is going to turn into a berry patch. But things like raspberries and strawberries can give you a real hint of summer by having, first of all, their flowers, and then later, it won't be their flowers, it'll be their fruit. Their bright red fruit. Think about blueberries. I know they're low to the ground, but when they flower, they're adorable. And when they have those plump berries that are these purpley blue hues, fantastic. They look great. Okay, so think about all of that stuff. Pumpkins and squash have a real fall feel to them. So in the summer, they bloom with their flowers, like we just looked at my pumpkin plant. And then in the fall, you have pumpkins and squash growing. And that's real fall-like. What's more fall than a pumpkin? So think about the entire season and think about things that are not just, not simply flowers. There's so many other ways to get color. Okay? Be bold with your colors. So you don't have to be like, well, I guess everything's got to be white and green. Be bold. But that doesn't mean you have to be haphazard about it. Hi, guys. Hi, my kitties. Yes, Gwen and Moustache are joining us, and they're actually angry at each other right now. Well, Gwen, stop hitting her butt. If you're hitting my butt, I'd get annoyed too. Stop hitting her butt. Stop it. I said stop. Nobody listens around here. Literally, nobody listens to me around here. So you don't have to be haphazard about your garden. You can be quite deliberate. Explore your complementary and contrasting colors and figure out what you like. So I like yellow daisies with cornflowers. So the yellow and the blue together. I love that. I think it's beautiful. I also like mixing bleeding hearts, which are very pink, with a white daisy. So pinks and whites. I think it's really neat. Okay, I adore it. I think it's great. Maybe you like other colors. So there are many, many other colors that you can use. Okay, so you saw our snapdragons earlier. We have multicolored snapdragons planted because we really like snapdragons and we like a variety of color, and the snapdragons all kind of go together. So if you don't think the color goes together, try to find that same flower in another color, and then it'll look like it goes together even if the colors don't, because they're the same plant. Okay? So there's a lot of ways you can use color to unify by changing up the type of plant and by looking at the different shades and really determining what you like. What do you like? That's what matters the most. Okay? What you like. So you might want to use white flowers or plants with gray and silver foliage, like a lamb's ear. I really like lamb's ear. I'm going to get a whole bunch of lamb's ear probably next year. But lamb's ear, because it's a really good transition plant. So white or silver flowers or plants with those color foliages to give you transition between things. So if this was a little more planned out and wasn't just me wanting to grow some stuff, then it probably would have a bunch of lamb's ear and maybe even some smaller white flowers in the transition areas, because that works. Okay, pretty flowers. We like color. There's more snapdragons over there. We have lots of snapdragons. Snapdragons are great, by the way, because they bloom pretty much all summer. So these are blooming again. You see, our snapdragons are blooming all over again. These guys weren't bloomed a few days ago. So these will bloom multiple times, and it's really neat. So snapdragons are something I recommend. I'm just going to go back up front. You want to remember that foliage and larger plants can also give you a lot of color, and they can serve as a backdrop. So think evergreens, shrubs, your large leafed foliage. You can use that as a backdrop and just kind of as a statement piece, because some of the larger pieces are really quite gorgeous. Hi, Kitten Boos. Other things you might want to think of, like hostas and ornamental grasses, are really good fillers if you want something tall. So an ornamental grass is really neat if you want something a little bit taller. Mosses are really good if you need something low to the ground. I favor Irish moss. In fact, I'm putting a bunch of it in the back. Any moss works. I really like moss. It's fun to walk on. So I'm kind of working on these mossy trails. It'll take a few years to establish, but hey, I got the time. So you can use things like mosses if you need something low-lying, ornamental grasses if you want something a little bit higher. It's all good. Don't forget about your flowering fruits and plants that have attractive seed heads. Okay, so you might want to put in some crabapple trees because apple blossoms are beautiful and crab apples are yummy. So think about all these different things that you can incorporate. One thing we like to incorporate up here, most people have, is the red-twigged dogwood, because it has pretty red stems and it grows quite large and it needs very little maintenance. So think about what grows in your area, what doesn't require you to do a lot to it when you're growing it, because not everybody wants to spend hours upon hours tending each plant, and figure out what works in your area. If you're unsure, grab yourself a color wheel. Okay, you can look color wheels up online, or you can actually buy them at most garden centers. Colors close to each other are harmonious. They look pretty good, but you can also use your color wheel to find out what clashes or what is a good contrast, right? Do I want this yellow with this pink, or should I do something else? So definitely get yourself a color wheel if you're at all unsure. They're a lot of fun to use. But ultimately, remember, when it comes to color in your garden, you're only pleasing you. So if you like the color, then that's what matters. If you like it, then you should plant it. Even if it's not perfect. It's okay if it's not perfect. It really is. So if you love these guys, Suppy, if you love these guys, but they don't match, put them in anyway. All that matters is that you get joy out of your own garden. That's it for us here at Andersen Acres today. We'll see you tomorrow.